You also went to the Naval War College to study what?
Strategic studies. It's the it's the Navy's version. Each service has a war college. You study strategic services, so it's looking back on history, understanding the various wars and capabilities, understanding the fleet and the joint force. There's definitely multiple components to getting your master's degree there.
So why that? Why did you pursue that?
I'm a Navy reservist. As part of our strongly encouraged to be promoted through the officer ranks, and frankly, it was a great opportunity to learn. The Naval War College is a phenomenal institution. Some really, really amazing professors there. The material is phenomenal, and I think it really allowed me to grow intellectually through studying the various aspects of not just the Navy, but the joint force, the military, and strategic thinking.
As you know, part of the job of press secretary is to process, comprehend, and often analyze different issues and topics and figure out how you communicate that to the public. So how do you approach that?
The same way that I've done it before. I mean, I've been doing this now a couple decades, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, part of this is figuring out how do you take a complex issue and synthesize it down to an effective narrative, and then what are those selling points that help drive the issue or policy that you're trying to sell or implement, whether it's to the American people or to get the votes for it in Congress.
You'll also be White House Communications Director.
Yes.
Where do you draw the line? How do you divide the two roles?
I think if you look at the way that the current White House is set up, I think they have a pretty good model with Jen and Josh. I think we'll have a very similar type situation. The communications team focuses a lot more on the logistics, the planning. Where's the message going? What are the events that we're going to drive that? What are the pieces that go into driving a successful narrative and message? The press office deals a lot with the day-to-day, the incoming press inquiries, whether it's from regional, specialty, or national media. And I think we've got a phenomenal team of people on both the communications side and on the press side that are going to help ensure that whether it's the day-to-day questions or the long-term communications planning, that we have a really effective operation.
You have talked about this. We covered you at the University of Chicago. But where is your head right now in terms of how you want to structure all of this and what, if any, changes you want to implement?
Well, I think from a staff standpoint, we're well ahead of schedule. We've got a lot of great individuals that are going to come in and help be part of the White House communications team. We've already started to talk to people about being part of the department, the various departments and agencies, and being key leaders in that. But then from the dealing with the press piece of this, I think what I've done is really go back and do what the President-elect has challenged everybody who's offered an appointment or a position to in the White House or in the different secretaries, which is to go out and see if we can do a better job product more effectively and efficiently for the American people. So I'm looking at the entire process of what we're doing. I'm talking to reporters. I'm talking to some of my predecessors. I'm talking to outside stakeholders and reporters and individuals and asking them, what can we do better? How do we more effectively communicate a message? How do we bring in more people to the process so that it's not just the mainstream media that has a lock on this? How do we bring in bloggers and talk radio and maybe people who haven't felt as welcome or can't afford to have a correspondent in the briefing room 5 or 7 days a week? And so what I think we're trying to do is actually bring more voices, more people into the process.
You are also the father of 2.
Yes.
How do your kids feel about their dad?
They're excited. They're young, so they're not fully in tune with what's entirely happening, but they're excited. They were up in New York a couple weeks ago and got to walk around here at Trump Tower, and they see Donald Trump go on air all the time and call it out. So I think they're a little young to fully comprehend it, but they're definitely excited for their dad. As my wife, Rebecca, has been. She's the only reason I can do this job is because she's been so unbelievably supportive.
What's the biggest challenge, though? Because Donald Trump is tweeting early in the morning. He's up late at night.
He is. Keeping up with him is probably the biggest challenge. He doesn't stop. He is so driven by making this country better and helping unite the country, create jobs, spur economic growth. And you're right, he just doesn't stop. He keeps going. And I think that the country's going to benefit from his energy, his enthusiasm, his ideas.
How did you meet your wife?
She was through a member of the media. She used to work at WJLA, the ABC station in Washington. We had a mutual friend who thought we'd be who would connect. She was right, and so we went out to an event just outside of Washington one Saturday and hit it off.
So she understands the challenges that you
She did. She worked in the Bush White House, so she understands that. And plus, I think being in television, you understand her background, moving to station and the intensity of the news cycle, and then the experience she had at the White House. She understands that. But more importantly, I think she understands what a great honor and opportunity this is for me, and is just so excited and thrilled to, and it, every day is just unbelievably supportive. One of the things that no matter who you talk to in the White House, it is unbelievably demanding on your time, and the family is important, and it's great to have such an amazing infrastructure to allow me to do this.
What did you do in the Bush White House?
I was the Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Media and Public Affairs. It's like 2 lines on that card.